The trouble with that is, who are we? You know, I mean, maybe it depended on what we had for lunch. If we had the soup instead of the salad, we might have come up with different principles. So we wanted to do a study to try to seek out from people who practice collaborative approaches to evaluation, find out what they think, and we're going to work from there. So now what I'm going to do is explain to you the methodology that we used. And I think I could do that before you give another week.
Okay.
So the methodology, there's a really basic element to the design. The design is, so you're a practicing evaluator. You may or may not be, but you are for this illustration. So I'm going to come to you and I'm going to say, you've done a number of collaborative evaluations. I want you to pick one that you think was really good, that was highly successful. Okay? And I want you to think about that evaluation. Maybe it happened 2 years ago. So 2 years ago, did the evaluation. It was really a success, however you define that. Think about that, and then tell me why. Why was it so successful? You think about that, and you give me data, basically, on why it was so successful. So now that you've done that, now I say, okay, but you've done 15 or 20 of these over the last 3 or 4 years. Think of one now that maybe it wasn't a failure, but we'll call it far less successful than you had hoped. Okay, it's not very good. It didn't work out very well. So you think about that, you come up with another one. Maybe it happened 3 months ago. Okay, you finished that project 3 months ago and it didn't work out very well. So now think about that and then tell me why. Why did it not work out this time? So that's the essence of our design. And we wanted to take that forward and get those views from the different ends of the spectrum to help inform what we should be doing and what we shouldn't be doing. So in order to develop that design, so I'm sorry, I should have had this slide up. So this was the design. And in order to develop that, we had 4 phases. In the first phase, it was just Lynn Shula, Brad Cousins, and Bessa Whitmore. And we went through that activity. Independently, I thought of an evaluation, a collaborative evaluation, that I did that was really good. Estrella. And I reflected on that, and I recorded some notes about that. Why did that work out so well? And then I did one that was unsuccessful, and I reflected on that and wrote that up. Actually, I got lazy. I used a recorder. But Lynn and Bessa did the same thing, and then we compared notes, and it seemed to be working. It seemed like a good idea. So we went to phase 2. We went to the American Evaluation Association 2 years in a row, and we had about 25 people in a workshop, and we put them through that. And so we had data from about 50 evaluators. It was a pilot. Okay, it's just a pilot study at this phase. Phase 3 was our main data for our study. By phase 3, we had ironed out all the bugs, and we launched our survey to Canadian Evaluation Society, American Evaluation Association, and International Development Evaluation Society or Association. And so we sent out an email invitation to all those people, and we had 320 evaluators. 300 filled out our survey. The survey was just what I said. Think about it as a successful evaluation, answer a few questions about it, and then tell us why it was successful. And then pick one that was not so successful, answer a few questions about it, and tell us why it didn't work out. So 320 evaluators did that for us online, and they submitted their response. The main data we're interested in was the qualitative, like the written reasons why it's successful or not. And by the way, we counterbalanced for order. So one person might have received successful and then unsuccessful, whereas another person might have received unsuccessful, then successful. So that gave us our main data, and out of that we worked really hard to analyze the data, and we came up with a set of 8 principles. We also asked people if they were interested to participate in phase 4, which is a validation phase. And out of 320, we had 289 people, evaluators, say, yes, I would like to participate in phase 4. So we were able to get their email addresses in a way that didn't associate with their original data. And we sent out our draft principles to them, and 58 responded. 58. But you know what? We gave them a lot of work to do. I'm just going to show you. Well, we used in vivo 10. I think people here do use Atlas TI. Yeah. So we use in vivo. We went through this whole system of coding, and we ended up with. We looked at. We had 8 principles. We had contributing factors, themes, and we had actual excerpts from the data. I just want to show you what it looks like, and then we can take a. So I know you can't really see this, and I was astonished that people translated this. I mean, it was so generous, because it's just for illustration, but we have a table that's just, as we call it, a monster table. You see, this is one principle with 2 contributing factors and 3 themes, and these are actual quotations from the evaluator. And you see it says E or NE, and it means they're making reference to a successful evaluation or to one that was not very successful. Okay, so that's how we put all the data together, having coded it all, and that's how the 5 of us arrived at our draft set of principles.
Okay. Okay. Should I? Okay.
Yeah. Why don't you?
Okay. Yeah. From the beginning. Okay. Bueno, ha empezado diciendo la importancia del contexto y cómo el contexto es el que ayuda a determinar los propósitos y también realmente cómo va a ser la evaluación. Y ha empezado a hablar que para él la importancia en evaluación de la primacía de la evidencia y de los datos. Ha hecho una reflexión como en realidad en evaluación, en el campo de la evaluación, no somos tan buenos haciendo investigación sobre evaluación, es decir, haciendo investigación sobre nosotros mismos. Ponía el ejemplo de la AERA, que es la American Evaluation Research Association en educación, en investigación de educación, que dice que tienen congresos anuales de 12.000 personas cada año, y que evidentemente en evaluación no somos tan buenos en eso de buscar información y evidencia, pero ellos realmente querían hacerlo. Entonces, ha empezado a contar con el tema de cómo ha sido la metodología, ¿vale? En 4 fases. Estaba basado un poco digamos, el que va a proporcionar información es un evaluador o evaluadora, al que se le pide que piense en una buena evaluación y que luego cuente el por qué es esa buena evaluación y que dé los datos, ¿vale? Una evaluación de tipo colaborativo, ¿no? Pues lo cuentas. Cuando ya han dado los datos, entonces piden en pensar en otra que no haya sido tan exitosa. Y lo mismo, ¿por qué no ha sido tan exitosa? ¿Vale? Entonces, las 4 fases, la primera hicieron un piloto en el cual ellos mismos, con Besa Whitemore y Lynn Shula y él mismo, Brad, hicieron eso, ¿vale? Dice que él era un poco perezoso y que lo grababa en lugar de escribirlo, ¿vale? Y entonces iban viendo que efectivamente eso era posible. Ellos mismos habían pensado ellos mismos en algunas evaluaciones que habían hecho. En la fase 2 lo que hicieron fue aprovechar la Asociación Americana de Evaluación, que es anual, y entonces hicieron 2 talleres durante 2 años seguidos con 25 personas en lo que también hicieron lo mismo. Se hicieron pensar en lo mismo y en por qué recogieron datos. De ahí fueron a la fase 3, que era una encuesta online a profesionales de la evaluación que hubiesen hecho evaluaciones colaborativas y ahí tuvieron 320 respuestas. De esas respuestas prácticamente todos dijeron que sí, que se apuntaban a pasar a la fase 4, que entonces consiguieron los emails sin que estuvieran conectados a la encuesta porque era una encuesta anónima, me imagino, ¿vale? Y entonces, de esos, en realidad contestaron solo 58. Dice que no le extraña porque en realidad se les pedía hacer mucho trabajo, ¿vale? Era una encuesta de mucho trabajo. Y luego ha dicho que es increíble cómo habéis traducido todo porque... Can you put the following one? The one on the... no, the other, I mean, yeah, that one. Porque es, digamos, para que se vea la riqueza un poco de ese es un principio, ¿vale? Lo hicieron en NVivo, metieron todo en el software de análisis, de ayuda al análisis cualitativo y hicieron, can you put the former one, the other one, and the former one, okay. Y lo hicieron a través de identificar los principios, los factores contribuyentes a dichos principios, temas y las citas, ¿vale? De cada textuales de los participantes y así organizaron toda la información para que veáis que realmente era empírico. Los 8 principios que ha llegado empíricamente. Ok, thank you.
Perfecto. Okay, one comment I would like to make is contributing factors. These are kind of like the reasons why it's successful or not successful. So you can imagine a reason could be the reason that this collaborative evaluation was successful was the people who were really dedicated. You know, they were enthusiastic and dedicated, and they did a good job. So now I have to come up with this other one, and it's not successful. I wasn't successful, and I can come up with people were not dedicated. They're sort of not engaged, and they just came for the lunch, and they didn't really, get engaged with this. So you see that there's one variable there. Dedication means a good thing. Low dedication means it's not going to work out for you. So you see, when we had data from our participants that told us that, it was a cue for us. It said, this is an important theme. Okay, this is an important variable because if it's high, it's good. If it's low, it's not good. It's going to help to inform a principle for collaborative approach to evaluation. So we have 8 of these. This table is like huge, and actually in our first draft of the paper that we sent to the American Journal of Evaluation, they said, okay, we like the paper. There's a lot good here, but this table, no. It's too big. So what we decided to do was we're going to have this online. It's going to be available online. So, when you look at the paper, you can click a link and go to a bigger report with the table in there. That's the way that we solve that. We can understand. Okay. Well, so we went through the validation process, and now we arrived at our final set of 8 principles. They've been refined. The validation process involving 58 evaluators was very, very helpful. And people, they had to look at that table. There was a lot of work there. 58 people gave us, I would say, a half day or a full day of work to give us feedback. And we met together as a group of 5, and we analyzed all that, and we refined the principles. So this is our final version. When I say final, we're going to launch this version, but in a few years, we're going to revise it, based on what we learned about it. So I want to say a couple of things about the actual framework. You can see we've got 8 different little pods, and they're all sort of representing the principles. There's 3 things that are important here. One is, you see these dotted lines. The dotted lines are meant
en cuenta, bueno, primero, perdonar, ha dicho que realmente los principios se fueron refinando mucho a lo largo del proceso de investigación, que la fase 4 fue especialmente importante y que está muy agradecidos a las 58 personas que participaron, porque realmente dieron prácticamente medio día de trabajo, incluso uno entero de su trabajo para poder contestar. La idea es, precisamente, como han visto que se ha ido refinando, es que en 5 años los quieren volver a creen que son principios que tienen. Bueno, entonces, las razones, digamos, para antes de empezar a explicar uno por uno, las diferentes las líneas discontinuas significan que están interconectados unos principios con otros, ¿vale? La segunda, que aunque hay una cierta en realidad no es una, y ahí siempre va a haber una constante y hacia atrás. Y la tercera es la idea de que en realidad esto se tiene que utilizar como un conjunto. O sea, no se puede ir y escoger uno de los principios, sino que hay que trabajarlos en conjunto porque es algo más holístico y como tal tiene que ser.
Okay. So what I'm going to suggest is I'll do like 3 of these quickly, and then we have a recap. We'll try and work through these fairly quickly. So what you can see here is, and by the way, here's this this sort of brochure thing that we put together. So this gives you a little bit more detail on each of the principles. And I'm gonna come back to this later, but you can see some of the rationale is elaborated a little bit with them. So the way that we represent these is, we've got the principle and we've got the contributing factors. One quotation as support, because it's always evidence-based, research on evaluation. So we always want to go to the voice of evaluators, and it's just a quotation. So the first one is clarify the motivation for collaboration. So remember earlier I said the last thing you want to do is come in and say, I'm an empowerment evaluator. You want to come in and find out about the context at that point. First of all, should you do a collaborative evaluation? And if you should, then what kind of approach seems best suited to it? So that's what you ought to be doing right off the bat, is just clarifying, why do we want to do a collaborative approach here? Because in some cases, it's not going to work. Do you know of any organizations where the senior administrators, they don't want to hear what people have to say? This is not a good context for a collaborative approach, because these people, they're going to make all the decisions, and they're, whether you give them your input or not. So you have to decide if it's worthy of a collaborative approach. The next one is collaboration implies a partnership and a relationship. And we all know relationships, they take a while to develop. You can't just, form a relationship and it's perfect. You have to work at that, and you have to develop trust. And here it's interprofessional relationship, and people have different things to contribute, but everybody needs to feel that they're part of that they're a legitimate part of this partnership. So you need to pay a lot of attention to developing professional relationships. The third one is you need to develop a good understanding of the program. Now, we talked earlier about Marvin Elkin and his students using visual representation of theory. They're using program logic models to do that. This is a good idea in an evaluation context, because programs are in place to respond to a particular need. And if you have 8 people working on a program with different responsibilities, and you got them, if you talk to them individually, my guess is you're going to have different versions of what the program is supposed to be addressing. How is it, what accomplished, and how is it supposed to accomplish that? People they have a good understanding in their own mind, but it might be different than your understanding or different than your understanding. So a good strategy is to work with them to develop a program logic model. You've got 8 people sitting around the table. You develop together an explicit representation of the program. So we're saying it's important to clarify exactly what is the program. You know, what are the needs it's trying to address? What is it expected to accomplish? And how is it expected to accomplish that? Was that 3 or 2?
3, I think. Ha empezado a explicar los 3 primeros. El primero es la idea de clarificar la motivación para la colaboración. La idea de que primero hay que decidir si realmente se tiene que hacer una evaluación colaborativa o que se puede hacer, ¿vale? Nos ponía el ejemplo, dice, a que seguro que sabéis de alguna organización en la que el director o directora en realidad no quiere saber qué es lo que piensan los de abajo. Entonces, si eso es así, en realidad es un contexto que no es el adecuado para hacer una evaluación colaborativa. En caso de que sí que sea una evaluación colaborativa, bueno, ¿cuál de los enfoques es el más adecuado? El segundo principio es el de fomentar las relaciones interprofesionales significativas. Es importante la idea de desarrollar confianza en esas relaciones y es, digamos, como un principio clave para una evaluación colaborativa, ¿vale? Esas redes interprofesionales. El tercer principio es desarrollar una visión y una comprensión compartida entre todos los diferentes stakeholders que van a colaborar. Y esto probablemente se hace a lo largo del momento en el que se está haciendo la evaluación, ¿vale? Pero es importante.
Okay, so the fourth one, you want to make sure that the appropriate process is in place, the appropriate participatory. Now remember, and here's where you can see the 3 dimensions that we talked about before are available. So the idea is you have to decide, you know, in that 3-dimensional framework, where should this project, you know, sort of focus? Should you involve a lot of stakeholders or just a few? Should the evaluator be deciding, or a balance? You know, or how deeply should the stakeholders be involved? So once you understand the context and what it's all about, you can start thinking about what is it going to look like in practice. The next one has to do with resources, and you have to make sure it's adequately resourced. Now, you might say, of course, you've got to do that with any evaluation, and you do. But I'm saying it's particularly important in this case because the main resource that's going to be involved are people. And, you know, it's not all about money. It's about time, and it's about people. It's about commitment. So you have to sort of stay on top of that. Because supposing you get started and you've got 8 or 9 people who are going to work with you, and they all come to the first meeting, and they're all really excited and enthusiastic. So then, you know, they go about their job. They don't hear from you for 2 weeks, but then you're going to have another meeting. And you come back, and there's maybe 2 or 3 people missing because they had other commitments. So, you know, enthusiasm starts to wane a little bit. And then 2 weeks later or a month later, only 4 people show up. You can see where this is going. You know, commitment is starting to wane, and you want to really attend to that and make sure that you have people involved. So that's pretty much what we mean by resources there. And then the next one is the quality of the evaluation. Of course, in any evaluation, because we have professional standards of practice, you need to assure the quality of your data, and we take steps to do that. For example, we counterbalance, you know, in our designs, or we have inter-rater reliability or agreement when we analyze qualitative data, or we calculate Cronbach's alpha to see how well a scale is working. And so we have all these ways to assure quality, but program community members, they don't know. So you see, in the collaborative context, the onus is on the evaluator to share with people some strategies to make sure that the data are of good quality, and to encourage them to use those strategies to make sure that what you have is valid evidence. If you don't have valid data, you're in trouble. You know, it's just, it's going nowhere. So that's an important element. Okay.
Okay. El cuarto principio es la idea de promover principios participativos apropiados, y ahí tiene que ver con la idea de que hay que decidir quién va a participar y hasta qué punto, la dimensión de la profundidad de la participación, ¿vale? Y entonces esto es importante, ¿no? El nivel de las tres dimensiones incluso. El quinto, la idea de hacer un seguimiento y también la respuesta a la disponibilidad de los recursos. En las evaluaciones colaborativas insiste en que más que es una cuestión, en realidad los recursos más importantes son las personas, los tiempos y el nivel de compromiso. Y dice que puede ocurrir que a lo mejor al principio en una primera reunión está todo el mundo muy entusiasmado y que hay 9 y que luego en la siguiente vienen ya solo 4 y bueno, esto a veces ocurre, ¿vale? Y el principio 6, que también es muy importante, es la idea de hacer un seguimiento y supervisar la calidad de la evaluación a lo largo de la evaluación. Insiste que hay que desarrollar estrategias para asegurar la calidad. Si no se tienen datos válidos, la evaluación no sirve para nada, y que si, por ejemplo, pues con el ejemplo de que si se está utilizando y calculando un alfa de Cronbach, por ejemplo, por poner un ejemplo, que hay que supervisar que efectivamente eso tiene que estar bien hecho, que están siendo bien y que se están recogiendo datos de forma válida y fiable.
You can see the quotation here. It's from a non-successful project.
Sí, que sobre justamente una situación no exitosa de un evaluador joven que efectivamente, al no tener experiencia, no implicó lo suficiente a la gente en la resolución de la calidad de la evaluación. Bueno, lo tenéis todo ahí, está también en el paquetito, ¿vale?
Bien.
Bien.
Okay. Seventh one here is, it's all about culture, organization of the program. And, you know, I studied evaluation use when I did my PhD many years ago. And I studied use because I did an evaluation, and it just, nobody used it, you know. They smiled, they shook my hand, and then they threw it up on the top shelf. So I wanted to know, you know, how do you do evaluations that are going to be useful? And it was all about the use of the findings from an evaluation. But in that whole stream of inquiry, there's something we call process use. And that's come up more recently. And it's not about the findings, it's about learning, like say program community members, learning about evaluation, learning about gathering evidence, learning about thinking systematically, and making judgments on the basis of evidence. And you see, if you involve people in a collaborative approach, chances are they're going to learn some things that they didn't know before, and they might even get excited about them, and they might even transfer them to some other aspect of their job. For example, I've worked with teachers before, teachers and school principals. We've done an evaluation together, and teachers got really excited about this. And some of them, when they went back to their classrooms, they started using student evaluation data in ways that they had never imagined. And it was really helping them to improve what was going on in the classroom. So it's about developing a culture, an evaluation culture, thinking like an evaluator. And, you know, this is something that as you work through a collaborative approach, you can take steps to try to, there's an instructive role there. There's a role for instruction for the evaluator to help people, you know, develop their own thinking and develop professionally. The last one is follow through to realize the use of the evaluation. And the use of evaluation is not just about defining, it can also be about capacity. So the idea is, don't just let that go. But don't just finish the evaluation and write up the report and deliver it, and that's the end of it. The idea is to take steps, and I'm not just saying the evaluator, I'm saying the team, you know, including program community members. Take steps to get the conversation going. You've done this investigation, you have some findings. Let's get some dialogue going. What does it mean for our program? What kinds of decisions should we be making? Or what can we do differently? How can we use this evidence to leverage change? So this is another principle that came from our data that suggests there's a role beyond finishing the report. By the way, I just finished a report today. I was on the plane, just finishing up a few things. I went to the hotel, and I'm racing against the clock, and I clicked send just before I got in the taxi to come here. But clearly, my job is not over. You know, I've delivered the report. Of course, it's a draft. We're going to hear about that. But this is a big project in India that I have on evaluating teacher in service. And it's a huge nationwide evaluation. And our evaluation is going to influence national educational policy. And we're very excited about it. It took about 9 or 10 months to do this. It was a huge effort, but we're very excited about that. But there's going to be a lot of follow-up work. You know, you got to get the conversation going. Like, what does all this evidence mean about teacher in-service training in India? And so I think it's an important role for any evaluation, but particularly here, in a collaborative approach, you've got insiders, you know? You've got people who know who
a pensar en términos evaluativos. Dice que él estudió el tema del uso y la utilización en su doctorado hace muchos años porque justo había hecho una evaluación que no había sido utilizada para nada, ¿no? Entonces, que eso es importante, cómo generar cultura de aprendizaje y cómo generar una cultura de evaluación sistemática. El último principio es el optimizar la influencia de la evaluación, y es la idea de que la evaluación tiene que ir un poco más allá de la entrega del informe, ¿no? Se tiene que comprometerse de alguna manera con el uso. Nos compartía que justo ha entregado hoy mismo un informe que estaba terminando en el avión y que cuando llega al hotel lo ha enviado. I didn't understand, Brad. It is about this. Es en India, and it's about teaching internships or what?
It was a teacher in service training. It means professional development.
Formación del profesorado, ¿no? O sea, de formación continua del profesorado. Eso. Creo que y que es muy importante. Entonces, él sabe que y se ha quedado tranquilo porque había el informe, que no acaba ahí su trabajo, porque además especialmente va a ser una evaluación que va a tener capacidad de influir sobre educación y que por eso es importante.
Muchas gracias. Okay, so where do we go from here? This is an ongoing discussion. First of all, like this notion of context, very, very important. And we're going to continue to sort of privilege, looking at context. So that's an important discussion. We want to always using the approach. And, we want to think about this temporal order thing. So these are sort of question items for discussion, but we're that we think could be of interest to pursue. The relevance of the principles as a way to help move to more powerful. The second one is we want to continue with our empirical refine the principles. We look at them as being dynamic, and they're going to change over time, probably. We want to help inform the discussion of how to change them over time. So here are the questions that we're interested in. The first one is, in what ways do these principles support practice? So we're imagining some field studies where we can get people to use them and to study them. That is to say, to keep evidence or data on how well they're helping to inform their ongoing discussions. So they can do that in a couple of different ways. They can do it to plan evaluations in advance. And in fact, some of my colleagues in Barcelona, they're doing some work with the youth empowerment, and it's going to involve participatory evaluation. And we had this discussion yesterday, and now they're really excited. Mm-hmm. And they're thinking that they could use this to help guide their own. They're just starting out. They've got a 3-year research grant. They're starting out, and they're thinking this could be quite useful. We can also use the principles to reflect. So we're saying to plan, but you can think about something that happened before and try to reflect on that. To how well did it go? If we use the principles as a framework for reflection, that could be. We can use the principles also to help educate people. I'm imagining, for example, if there ever was such a thing as a course or a workshop series on collaborative approaches to evaluation, that the principles, they could actually develop into like modules, for a workshop or even an online course. So they could be used in that way. And it would be good to, sort of gather some evidence around how well that goes. We want to know how responsive they are to contextual complexity. We've had to distill a lot of data and information to form these 8 principles. They're at a fairly high level now. How well are they going to be able to, be sensitive to contextual complexity? On the next slide, we have some more questions. Do the principles align with existing approaches? Okay, I mentioned there are many, many family members to evaluation. Do these principles sort of apply to all of those family members? Or are there some family members who are just going to sort of turn their back and walk away? So that's another, I think, interesting question. Are the principles useful for evaluators who are just starting out, as compared with evaluators that have been doing evaluation for a long time? Is there a difference with the principles? And I think importantly, and by the way, this evaluation we did in India, we had a team of 30 people working on this. It was a totally collaborative evaluation. We did, you can't do the entire country, even though it was a national evaluation. We did 9 case studies. Each case was a state. And in each state, we gathered 1,000 teacher questionnaire responses. And we gathered 18 interviews and 4 focus groups. So I had like 9 teams in those states, and they all went out and got the data, and then we all came back, and we had this thing called the Data Analysis Festival. I know in Spain you like to have festivals. Every time I look around, there's another festival, and that's a really good thing. We had a data analysis festival. There were 30 people around the table, and we analyzed qualitative data. And my student, Hind El-Hadib, was there with me, and she was running in vivo. So they were all coding their data, and Hind was putting it into in vivo. It was marvelous. Oh. Anyway, it's collaborative, but it's cross-cultural. I mean, Hind is from Saudi Arabia, actually. I'm from Canada. Indians, they're special people, very special. They're out there. They're different, and there's a lot of cultural elements there that need to be sort of taken into account. So we're wondering now, how do these principles apply in a cross-cultural context? It's another interesting question. So these are some questions we're reflecting on, but what we're really interested to do in terms of moving forward are thinking about field studies. So we like to encourage field studies that can be retrospective, that can be planning, that can be educational, multicultural, or what have you. But we want to actually invite people such as yourselves to think about being involved in actually doing field studies using the principles. And the idea that we have is we want to try to recruit members to participate. You'll notice on the handout he's given you, there's even a little, yes, this one's in English. Maybe the form is not there. Yeah. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But let me just tell you what we're wanting to do. Actually, maybe Maria, before we get to that, you want to just recap those questions.
Sí, bueno, realmente habéis visto, están las preguntas muy bien señaladas. Yo creo que era lo que estaba era una de las cuestiones para promover los principios. Insistía desde el principio la idea de que no son principios que se puedan escoger cada uno, sino que son además dinámicos y que son, digamos, que están en un conjunto. Están reforzando y que realmente esto es así. Que nos ha contado cómo era realmente muy colaborativa la evaluación, porque en realidad tenía un equipo de 30 personas, se hicieron 9 estudios de caso, cada uno por un estado, por una región, y había, digamos, además datos de carácter cualitativo, ¿vale? Que se iban incluso poniendo y metiendo en el en vivo en persona, en vivo, ¿no? En el en vivo. Y que era tanta gente que incluso hicieron, que aquí ya sabe que en España nos gustan mucho los festivales y las... En realidad ellos hicieron la fiesta del análisis de datos de los 30. ¿Okay? Ahora nos va a explicar cómo va a invitarnos a todos a formar parte de este festival.
Está invitado. So the idea that we have is we would like to recruit practicing evaluators, or even people who participate on collaborative evaluations, to work together to actually do field studies using the principles. So it could be you're going to reflect on an evaluation you already did, and you're going to use it to critique that. You're going to use and apply the principle in some way, and you're going to actually write up a research report on that. The idea is, over the next 3 or 4 years, we'd like to recruit a number of such research reports, and we're going to publish them in a compendium. And it could be a little skinny one like New Directions for Evaluation, or it could be a big compendium like that. We're open to trying to recruit as many practicing evaluators and program community members who are working in the area to participate. This brochure that we developed, we translated that into Spanish. We've also translated it into French. And very soon, because now that we have the American Journal of Evaluation is going to publish our paper, now we're ready to launch the principles. And we're going to do a formal launch, and then we're going to reach out to various networks. And I think there's a network here we might reach out to, as well as in Barcelona and elsewhere. We're going to, formally sort of launch a call for interest in doing field stuff. And so this one we have on the English version anyway. Just if you have an idea and you want to open up a conversation about it, you can send me an email, and but eventually, when we do the call for field studies, it'll be an online, questionnaire where you can write in your ideas, and we're going to review those. And we're planning to make this peer-reviewed, so who knows where this is going to go. They might be published in a peer-reviewed journal as a special issue, or in an edited book that'll have an advisory board or something like that. But our idea is we want these studies to be peer-reviewed and to be published by practicing evaluators and people working on collaborative evaluations such as yourselves. And where is that all going? In 3 or 4 or 5 years, we're gonna have a body of knowledge about the principles. And on the basis of that body of knowledge, we're going to collaboratively decide how to revise these things and how to improve them. And when I say collaboratively, I don't just mean team. I mean, we'll reach
claramente y de manera muy formal. Estás invitado con la idea de que van a hacer un llamamiento, una presentación formal, una vez que ahora el artículo se va a publicar en el American Journal of Evaluation. Y lo que van a hacer es hacer un llamamiento, digamos un llamamiento de interés para que se hagan estudios de campo. Un cuestionario, va a haber, es decir, que digamos, en parte dirigido, pero que la idea es que sí que quieren que esos estudios de campo estén evaluados por pares y que probablemente puedan acabar o bien en un número monográfico en alguna revista de evaluación o bien en algún libro editado en diferentes, o sea que, bueno, nos está invitando a un proceso realmente interesante. Dice que realmente quiere lanzarlo a redes y que él ve que aquí puede haber una red. A lo mejor es una cuestión incluso de pensar que pueda haber como un pequeño grupo de trabajo en el entorno de Aproeval que pueda trabajar con el tema de evaluaciones colaborativas y, bueno, que puede ser, yo creo que se abre algo interesante. Es lo que plantea Brad.
Bueno, muchas gracias. Well, I mentioned my Spanish, the one-word utterances, but there's a three-word utterance that I can think of. Café con leche. Maybe it's time.
Okay. What do you think that we can do a short break and then maybe come for questions?